Hello, hello, all you beautiful people. How are we doing? I felt the pull to be by the water. I did not realize that the water was coming up to me. I didn't have to go to it. It is flooded here in Eugene, and it is rapidly rising. And that is very much like the energy we are in. The water is rising. And you can either, hi, if you're just joining me, I'm going to be talking about the lunar eclipse and really this bigger piece of the nodal axis shifting. I mean, everything's always shifting, right? And one of the things today I was thinking about was like, I remember in parenting, like early parenting, that I would have this thing come up and I would talk to other parents about it, where as soon as I felt like I couldn't take it anymore, like they were in a growth period, they were up teething, or there was something happening. As soon as I felt like I cannot handle this anymore, like something needs to shift, I can't do this anymore. And like that, it would shift. Not always when I asked for it, but it always did shift. And this is just like the astrology, this is just like the energy, right? Nothing stays in the same energy. It's always shifting and moving. We are living in a vibrational universe. Nothing is stagnant. Nothing stays still. Even if it appears as if it's staying still, it is not staying still. That is not the natural way. Now, as I was just saying, the water is rising. And as the water rises, there will be people who will dig their heels in and think that they have to do it the same way, or try to come at life the same way, or try to do the same old things, or try to just hold it down, hold put. And those are the people that will get stuck in the mud and the water will rise, right? And it's really important to keep this in mind as we come into eclipse season. Eclipses are big flushes of energy. I often use the analogy of a toilet that's not flushing. And sometimes the toilet needs a major flush, right? Like sometimes you have to have a plumber come over, or sometimes you have to get some special tool. Well, that is the eclipse energy. The eclipse energy is like the giant flush, the plumber, the big movement of energy. And there will be people who try to hold on to the old ways, try to hold on from going down that toilet. Okay, this analogy is not going anywhere. So hi, if you're just joining me, we're talking about the eclipses. I want to know, type in the chat if you're feeling something brewing, if you're feeling something out there, in here, out there, everywhere, right? So there will be people that try to hold on to the old ways. Hi, Sima. But the water's rising. And really what's being asked of us is to surrender to the new ways, to surrender to float. Because when you surrender, like the only way, if you've ever tried to float on your back in the water, if you are like resisting or getting nervous or like freaking out, you'll start to sink. But if you inhale and you relax, you'll float on the water, right? And so we have to learn how to float. We are moving into a huge new cycle of the Taurus North Node. It's really interesting if you want to look at your own chart and your own life and look at the last time that the North Node was in Taurus. It will be 18 years ago. So if you're old enough to have, everybody mostly that follows me usually is at least 18, right? So if you had this transit when you were born, you are in what we call a nodal return. Nodal returns are massive time periods because that means the eclipses are happening on your North Node. They are moving you into action, okay? So we have the nodes changing signs. This doesn't happen completely until January. But this eclipse is a transitionary eclipse. We are going from a very hyper masculine cycle of fear, trying to shame, trying to tell people that their truth isn't the truth, trying to manipulate and control people. We're going from that cycle, leaving that behind, and moving into the feminine, moving into our senses, moving into our body and what our body is telling us about what we need, who we are. We get to define that. And that is the feminine way of the senses. What does my sense tell me about this? Doesn't matter what I read in the paper. It doesn't matter what the scientists in New Mexico have discovered. What do I feel is truth? What do I know is truth? This is where everything shifts. This is where everything that we've been through in the last 18 months comes to a head so that it can clear out. We're there, folks. You've made it. Ring the bell that can be rung. And as that happens, there will be people still gripped to the past. There will be people that are too scared to go there, too scared, too much in the game to even know what their truth is, too manipulated by the ways in which we've been conditioned, the ways that we've been taught to believe about ourselves, that we can't trust ourselves, that we don't know, that we're not a clear channel, that we're not a clear conduit, that we need someone else to access this information, that we need things that we don't have. We have everything we need. We have everything we need. And the more that you affirm that in your daily life, within your own self, the more that this becomes your reality. So this eclipse is a transitionary eclipse. Anytime we are in eclipse season, we are going to have people coming on this planet, people coming off of this planet. It is a huge time. And I do want to say, I do want to say that the North Node is still in Gemini, the trickster. The one that doesn't discriminate between good and bad, right or wrong, truth and lies. And when this is happening and we're in this transitionary cycle and we are in an eclipse time, you really want to be cautious about your choices and the choices you make for children and the choices you make for elders and the choices that you make for the ones that are vulnerable and can't make choices. This is a massive time. This is a massive time in the cycle of humanity. This is a powerhouse eclipse. And because it brings in new energy and it fleshes out old energy, there will be those that get fleshed out with the old energy. There will be those that come in a new way, in a new energy that will surprise you, that you will be like, oh, I didn't even know that was in you. So be ready to be surprised. Be ready to be enamored by your own life, by having everything that you need. I'm going to look at my transits. This Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I am hosting a free training, Activating Shakti. If you want in on that, just click the link in my profile. And that will be a live training on Facebook. But if you're not on that platform, that's okay. I'll email it to you so you'll have it. Yeah, I didn't say that yet, did I? Okay, so this eclipse is coming up November 19th at 27 degrees of Taurus. So you want to look at all of your fixed houses, especially the end degrees of the fixed houses. Today, we have a lot. We have a lot happening. Like a lot. So today we have Mercury opposing Uranus. So if you're having ahas, if you're processing in new ways, this is that energy. And we are gifted that in the pathway of coming into this eclipse, of coming into clear more. Because lunar eclipses do clear. They bring into consciousness and they clear out old ways of being, old energies. So if you're more tired this week, that's why. You need to rest. There's a lot of exhaustion energy in the collective. And when we rest and when we sleep more, we process more, we clear more, we integrate more, right? So this week is asking for that from you. Okay, so we have, I want to call it a loose T-square. Some astrologers aren't going to call it a T-square. It's a T-square with Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Jupiter's the planet of expansion. So when I talked about some people are going to be able to rise to the occasion and some aren't. This is Jupiter energy. Jupiter in Aquarius, in 24 degrees of Aquarius to be exact. Sorry, there's like a shadow on my face, which doesn't really matter, but it's a little distracting. So a T-square, a loose T-square, but with the lunar eclipse, is intense, and we want to lean into the invisible leg. And the invisible leg in this T-square, and the T-square, let me tell you what it is first, is Sun and Mercury in Scorpio, the moon in Taurus. I'll talk about these conjunctions. There's other like feminine asteroid conjunctions that are super powerful, and Liddy, man, this eclipse is Liddy. And some astrologers are calling it a partial. It's not a partial. It's a total solar eclipse. I know that there's some rules about that I'm probably ignoring, but I feel it. I feel it happening, and the North Node is within 5 degrees of this eclipse. So it is a powerhouse, okay? Okay, so we have all that, and then we have, yeah, it is like calculus. I try not to go into too much of the wording, the language too much, but it's kind of hard not to. Okay, and then we have Jupiter in Aquarius. So we have Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius as the major players here with this lunar eclipse. What that's telling us is lean into your Leo, lean into your courage, lean into your play. Wherever your Leo house is, you're going to want to lean in this week. Leos also are great at taking naps. Leo energy is great at resting, taking naps. They know they're powerful. They know they don't need to work. They know they can rest. They know they can replenish. They know they can go sit on a log and hang out for a bit, and everything's going to be a-okay. Hello, if you're just joining me. Okay, so we're talking about our emotions, our emotional awareness being in Taurus, which is very sensory oriented, very much into the immediate surroundings and what you have. Uranus is also in Taurus doing its thing. And then we have the North Node, it's conjunct, obviously, for this lunar eclipse in Gemini, and Ceres conjunct the moon and the North Node. So our Dharma is in the archetype of the mother. And the mother, Ceres, loses her daughter to the underworld. So we really want to be aware of our children. All children are our children. And we are really, our humanity really needs to focus on children and elders, right? It's the one thing that we've forgotten as a society. Hi, if you're just joining me. So Ceres is the goddess of abundance and loss. Okay? So our emotional awareness is to where maybe even in our life we feel like we've had abundance or loss around our own connections to our elders, to our children, to our inner child. And our conscious awareness is over there in Scorpio with Mars, our body. Mars is like action, body, our physical awareness. And Scorpio energy is also warrior energy. Mars is the co-ruler. So there's a lot of warrior energy if you aren't feeling that, okay? The sun, and then over there in Sag, right next to this conjunct, is Vesta and the South Node. And Vesta is burning your own fire bright. And this energy of our conscious awareness being in this area of burning our own fire bright, really aware of the past and what humanity has been through, and then the future and where we want to go. And in order to get where we want to go, we have to lean into our Taurus moon. Like that, the people need to lean into, in the beginning of this video, I talked about you have everything you need, knowing that you have everything you need, and building from that place. When we build from a place of neediness, fear, lack, we're building the past. But when we build from a place of trust and knowing, we're building for the future, right? We have to trust and know that the choices we make for our families, for our children, have their best interests for years and years and years in mind, right? So this is the energy that we're in. We want to really lean into Leo. Leo is very protective of the children, all children, not just their own cubs, all cubs. We want to lean into knowing our power and our passion. So this goes into like more of the work in the world is, if you didn't need to make any money anymore, if all your needs were met, what would you spend your time talking about? What spaces would you show up in? What would you share? What's your passion? What's your fire? What ignites you? This is also where we want to lean in this week. If you aren't living from that place, it's time to revisit why. Ceres, or Demeter, in mythology loses Persephone to the underworld. This is mythology. We're not talking about real time. But we are, because every mythology has its roots in human consciousness. So in order to get Persephone back, she tries bargaining and doing all the things to meet with the gods. Mercury tries. We don't know how hard Mercury really tried. He might have just kind of got into it with Pluto, and like had beers or something, you know, like we don't know how hard he tried. Those beers are tempting. But then who gets Persephone back? Hecate or Hecate. It depends. A lot of people say her name differently. Hecate straddles the dimensions. Her energy is really important in the world right now. So all of that being said, as we move into this eclipse season, this eclipse time, this time where the North Node is moving into Taurus, we are activating the power of the feminine within all of us, man or woman or trans or whatever, activating that powerful feminine within us, who's crystal clear, not a murky place. The planets are archetypes. They're the great wanderers. They wander through our consciousness and activate us in different ways. Yes. Okay. So that all being said, lean in to your feminine this week, which means resting, rejuvenating, taking good care of yourself. Take good care of your children. Pray for all children. I bet now this video will not be shown to people because I said that. Here we go. It's warrior time. I love you all. Join me for Activating Shakti, where I can speak my truth and not be censored. It's on Facebook. But then we're moving into the year-long mentorship, which has 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. And we go into all of this, the different levels, different intensities of going into it. But that's over Zoom. So for now, that seems to be a place where I can share the truth. My truth. I want to hear your truth. I want to speak my truth. And I'm sick of the censorship. And this is also the North Node moving out of Gemini. Take good care of yourselves. Yay! I'm looking forward to seeing you in Activating Shakti. And if you guys didn't hear me say, the link is in my profile. And if you can't find it or anything, you can just message me. Take good care. Bye.